Pause for a moment on your path. Before this insight drifts away like a cloud, it is important to understand a profound truth about your life. The space around you is never silent. Your home, the things you choose to have near, the quiet energy that flows through each room. It is all either nourishing your spirit or subtly diminishing it. There is no in between. Let us explore 5 currents that may be silently guiding your life's direction, holding you back without you ever knowing. 5 patterns, likely present in your own home, that can cloud your awareness, deplete your inner resources, and keep you anchored to old shores, preventing you from sailing toward who you are meant to become. These are not passing thoughts. They are observations rooted in the timeless wisdom of how our outer world reflects our inner state. Most of us walk through life unaware that our surroundings are shaping our inner monologue. Each object quietly speaks to the deeper parts of your mind. A space of disarray suggests to your spirit that chaos is a natural state. Every unrepaired item you hold on to whispers that it is acceptable to live with what is broken. And here is the insight that can change your course. When you clear these 5 elements, you are not simply tidying a house. You are creating the inner conditions for your own clarity to blossom. To begin this journey with true intent, take a moment now and type this in the comments to declare your purpose. I am TI SHI of MYOMMPA SHI. The first current to redirect is the presence of broken things you have intended to mend. That lamp that hesitates to shine, that drawer that resists opening, the glass that holds a crack, the unsteady chair. Gently scan your home in your mind's eye. How many such objects exist in your space? How many things are living at less than their full potential? Consider the quiet message this sends. Each time you interact with one of these items, you are subtly teaching yourself that imperfection is the standard. You are conditioning your spirit to accept dysfunction as a part of life. Unconsciously, you train yourself to settle for a reality that is less than whole. When you see that flickering light each morning, a part of you affirms, this is acceptable. When you struggle with that drawer once more, you accept that things are not meant to flow smoothly. The effect of this runs deeper than you might think. These broken objects create tiny disturbances in your inner peace. Each time something fails to work as it should, your internal harmony is momentarily disrupted. You may not notice these ripples on the surface, but your inner being feels them. At the end of the day, after dozens of these small discords, you may feel unsettled without understanding the source. Ancient wisdom has always observed that those who live with clarity and purpose ensure their surroundings reflect that. They mend things with intention, or they let them go. They understand what nature itself teaches. Our outer landscape nurtures our inner landscape. When your environment functions with ease and harmony, your mind is invited to do the same. You begin to align with your highest potential. The opposite is also true. To live among brokenness is to train the spirit to tolerate it in your heart, your work, and your connections with others. And there is a deeper cost. These objects consume a subtle energy. Every time you see that fractured mirror, or that door that does not close, a part of your attention is caught in the thought, this still needs my care. This creates an unresolved story in your mind, a quiet hum that drains your mental clarity, even when you are focused elsewhere. It is like trying to find stillness by a stream that is cluttered with debris. The water still flows, but never with its full, clear power. When you release these broken things, you do more than create space. You are sending a powerful message to your own soul about the standard of care you deserve. You are telling your deepest self, I am worthy of being surrounded by wholeness and harmony. You elevate the standard for what you welcome into your life. And when you elevate that standard in the world you can touch, it begins to rise in all other areas of your life as well. People have shifted the entire course of their lives by simply mending or releasing what was broken in their homes. By attuning their minds to expect excellence, they ceased to settle for less. They stopped teaching themselves to accept what is incomplete. They began to create the conditions for their own highest expression. This is but the first step. Next, we will look at the second current that needs our attention. And this one may ask for even more courage than letting go of a broken object. The second element to release is anything that belongs to a version of yourself that is no longer you. This goes beyond clothing that has ceased to fit. It touches any object that anchors you to a self that you have already moved beyond. Garments from a previous time, books on paths you are no longer walking, tools for pursuits you have since released, decorations reflecting a person you once were, not the one you are choosing to be. This is where the current often stalls for many people. It is understandable. These objects hold the energy of past investments, old dreams, former identities. But a deep truth remains. Holding on to them is like attempting to navigate a new river by looking only at the wake you have left behind. You bind yourself to a past that keeps the future from fully arriving. Your home should be a vessel for the person you are becoming, not a monument to who you have been. Every object tied to a former self is occupying physical, mental, and energetic space. This is space that could be filled with things that align with the person you are today. Consider the musical instrument you have not played in years, the exercise equipment now home only to dust, the collection of books from a journey that has reached its end. You are not simply seeing objects. You are seeing silent stories of paths not taken, of intentions left to fade. And with every glance, your inner world revisits the feeling of, this was left unfinished. Something more subtle is also at play. These things keep you emotionally tethered to old ways of being, old perspectives. They may quietly reinforce a narrative that you are someone who does not see things through, or that it is safer to remain where you are. As a result, you hold your present self back to accommodate your past. Clothing is a potent example. By keeping clothes from a smaller you, each time you see them, you are reminded of a perceived lack in the now, and by keeping larger clothes, just in case, you are holding space for a return to what you wish to move on from. In either current, you trap yourself in a state of disharmony with your own body. The same holds true for books and tools of learning. This is not about discarding all wisdom, but about asking, does this serve my journey today, or does it only speak of a chapter that has closed? Just as a tree cannot grow new leaves if it clings to all the old ones, your mind cannot fully embrace the present if it is filled with relics of a self that is no more. When you release these objects, you create a profound emptiness. This is not just physical, it is a mental and emotional clearing that allows new aspects of yourself to find the light. It is giving yourself permission for new wonders, new habits, and new connections to form, reflecting who you are at this moment and the direction you are flowing. Letting go can feel like a small departure, for in releasing the past, we acknowledge we are no longer that person. But it is also a return to your true self. If you approach it with intention, what flows into that new space will nourish you far more than what you have left behind. Next, we will turn our attention to the third element. And this one shapes not only what is in your home, but how you offer your attention with each passing day. The third element to consciously clear from your home is anything that invites automatic behavior and passive awareness. Here, we must be deeply honest with ourselves. Many of these things appear innocent, even ordinary. Yet they are quietly training your mind to exist in reaction, instead of living from a place of intention. We speak of the stacks of magazines you acquire, but do not absorb, the remote control always resting nearby, ready to open a window to distraction the moment you find stillness, the snacks placed conveniently for you to consume, without thought, the catalogs and advertisements that collect on your tables like fallen leaves. Each of these things conditions your spirit to seek stimulation from the outside, rather than cultivating the wellspring of peace and inspiration that lies within. It is a quiet form of conditioning. Instead of creating, you are asked to consume. Instead of choosing, you are asked to react. Instead of directing your attention, you allow it to be carried away by the currents of others. The mind, in its wisdom, seeks to conserve energy. This means it will often follow the path of least resistance. If your surroundings make it easiest to look at a screen, to open a package of processed food, or to drift through images of another's life, that is what it will naturally do. And this will be done so often that it becomes the default state of being. The challenge is that this pattern diverts your most precious resource, your attention. Without clear attention, there is no creation. Without clear attention, there is no deep understanding. Without clear attention, there is no true connection, neither with others, nor with yourself. Here lies the subtle danger. When your attention is scattered day after day, you lose the capacity to sustain your presence over time. You become accustomed to immediate input and grow less willing to engage in processes that require patience. This is why so many noble intentions lose their flow before they reach the ocean. Not from a lack of talent or strength, but because our attention has been trained to scatter like the wind. In spaces of profound creativity and focus, there is a common pattern. The environment has been designed so that intentional choice is the most natural path. Food is not left in plain view. If a snack is desired, it must be mindfully prepared. Devices of entertainment are not always waiting. One must make a conscious decision to engage with them. Sources of inspiration are not shopping catalogs, but tools for one's own inner discovery and outward expression. This is not about removing joy from your life. It is about ensuring your moments of leisure are true choices, not impulses. Because when you choose from a place of awareness, you are far more likely to select an activity that truly nourishes your spirit, instead of one that simply drains it. The catalogs and magazines are worth a special mention. They often come disguised as sources of inspiration, but in reality, their purpose is to plant seeds of dissatisfaction and comparison. Flawless images of lives you do not lead, of objects you do not require, of experiences you are not seeking. Every page is a subtle invitation to feel that something is missing. When you clear these things from your home, your mind begins to generate its own engagement. You rediscover the ability to be still without instantly seeking an external anchor. In that quiet space, your own insights begin to surface. You uncover your own inner landscapes, long buried beneath layers of passive consumption. You become the shaper of your time, not merely an observer of your own life. If these insights resonate with the path you are on, consider joining our community on this journey of awareness. Subscribe and let us walk this path together. In the next part, we will discuss an even more challenging kind of object than a remote control or a bag of chips. The fourth element to release from your space is anything that stands as a symbol of a promise to yourself that you did not fulfill. This is not about fleeting ideas you lost interest in. It is about the commitments that once held a deep meaning for you. The things you acquired with a clear and heartfelt intention, but which now sit in silence, bearing witness to your days. It might be the exercise bicycle that you vowed to ride each dawn, the weights that were meant to reconnect you with your physical strength, the brushes and canvases you bought to finally let your inner artist speak, the sewing machine you once dreamed of mastering, the unopened course, or the specialized kitchen tools meant to transform your relationship with food. On the surface, they are merely unused objects. In truth, they are far more impactful than simple clutter, because each time your eyes fall upon them, your spirit hears a quiet message. You do not follow through on your own intentions. When you hear this message repeatedly, it begins to shape the very foundation of your self-trust. In ancient teachings, this is understood as a kind of learned resignation. When you consistently begin journeys, but do not see them through, your mind starts to anticipate that you will stray from the path again. Without realizing it, you approach each new endeavor with a diminished spirit and less faith in your own resolve. It is as if a quiet voice inside whispers, "Why begin? I likely will not finish this either." The effect is not just on your emotions, it is felt in your very being. Every time you see one of these reminders, you experience a small echo of guilt and regret. You may not consciously register it, but your inner world does. Over time, these tiny echoes accumulate, draining your resolve and your inner light. Items related to health and well-being are especially powerful. They do not just represent an unfulfilled intention, they represent a time when you did not prioritize your own vitality. This can create a difficult cycle. You feel disheartened for not caring for yourself, which leads to more delay, which in turn deepens the feeling. The same is true for creative materials. When you leave your instruments of painting, music, or craft untouched, it is like closing a vital channel for your spirit to express itself. Without a creative current, life can begin to feel muted, mechanical, more disconnected from your essence. And then there are the materials for learning, the unopened books, the forgotten courses. These are perhaps the most subtle, as they remind you not just of what you did not complete, but of what you feel you should be doing. That persistent sense of being behind is one of an undercurrent that pulls against your forward momentum. When you release these items, you are doing something far more profound than clearing a corner. You are breaking a mental pattern of accumulating unfinished journeys. You are freeing yourself from the quiet accusation of, "I am not consistent." You are starting to rebuild trust in your own word and your capacity for true commitment. This does not mean you abandon those dreams forever. It means you are honestly acknowledging that at this moment, they are not your path. And if they ever do become your true path again, you will approach them with a clear spirit, not with the weight of all your past intentions. True self-trust is built by honoring your word, even if your word is, "I am choosing not to do this right now." That honesty is the soil from which all true change grows. In our next step, we will speak of the final of the 5 elements. And here, we move beyond objects, into the very energy you share through them, with people who may no longer belong in your life's journey. The 5th element to mindfully release is anything that holds a connection to people or relationships that diminish your spirit. This, by its nature, is the most difficult current to face. We are no longer speaking of just physical things. We are speaking of emotional and energetic threads that are kept alive through these objects. It may be a gift from someone who always offered criticism or made you feel unseen. Photographs that, despite a smile, pull you back to a time in your life that was filled with struggle. Letters, mementos, clothing, or jewelry from a relationship that ended in sorrow. The contact information for people who, after every interaction, left you feeling emptier than before. What is often not understood is that every object in your home is like a bell. It resonates with an emotional tone. And if an object comes from someone who drained you, it continues to sound that note in your space, even long after your direct connection has ended. This is not just a poetic idea, it is a reflection of lived experience. Ancient wisdom and modern understanding alike recognize that when you see an image, your inner world can reactivate the same state you were in when that image was created. This means if a photo is tied to a difficult season, every time you see it, you are subtly experiencing the emotions of that time. Gifts from those with challenging energy are even more complex. On the surface, they may appear as gestures of goodwill, but the object itself carries the true emotional signature of your connection with that person. And if that connection was filled with judgment, emotional imbalance, or a constant draining of your peace, then every time you use or see that gift, you are unconsciously being reminded of that dynamic. Even the names in your phone can hold energy. To keep the contact of someone who always took without giving, or who projected their own shadows onto you, is like leaving a gate unlocked for that energy to wander back in. Even if you never reach out, your spirit knows that path is still open. When you make the conscious choice to let go of these items, you are reclaiming your own peaceful ground. You are gently cutting the invisible threads that tie you to people and moments that have no place in the life you are now cultivating. And in doing so, you create a clearing for relationships that will support you, inspire you, and help you grow. This process can stir deep currents of emotion. You may feel sadness for connections that, while perhaps harmful, were once significant. You may feel anger as you realize how much of your own light you offer to those who did not honor it. You may even feel an initial quietness as you release a part of your own history. But this is a necessary part of the healing. This grieving clears the ground. And that very clearing is what allows new, healthier things to grow. When you have finished tending to these 5 areas, releasing broken items, belongings from a past self, triggers of automatic consumption, symbols of broken promises, and energetic tethers, you are not just creating a new home. You are cultivating a new mind, a new energy, and a new understanding of what you are worthy of. We will now explore what begins to happen within you when you start to live in a space free from these burdens. Because what shifts is not just what your eyes see. It is how you think, how you feel, and how you walk through the world each day. When you begin to live in an environment clear of those 5 elements, something that most people do not anticipate occurs. Your mind finds stillness. Suddenly, you perceive a new kind of silence. The constant quiet background noise of "I should" fades away. You are no longer met with dozens of small mental diversions every time you enter a room. It is as if you have silenced countless invisible alarms that had been ringing just beneath your awareness. The first thing you notice is mental clarity. Your mind is no longer spending its precious energy processing things that are out of place or tied to heavy emotions. That liberated energy naturally begins to flow toward what truly matters: your decisions, your creations, your plans, your ability to solve problems. This shift is not about becoming someone entirely new overnight. It is about finally allowing the person who has always been there to emerge from beneath the noise. The second change is felt in your physical energy. Most people do not link the clutter or emotional weight of objects to their own tiredness. But every single stimulus your awareness processes, every broken thing, every unfinished project, every difficult reminder, creates a subtle tension within you. And when those tensions are released, your entire being can finally relax. Your sleep becomes deeper. You move with more ease. You begin to feel a lightness, as if you have set down a great weight you did not even realize you were carrying. The third shift is in your focus. You are no longer being constantly pulled by small, visual reminders of what is wrong, what is unfinished, or what is no longer relevant. So when you sit down to work, to learn, or to simply be present, you can sustain your attention for much longer. And that is where the true transformation unfolds. The more you are able to focus, the more you can bring forth. The more you bring forth, the more confident and aligned you feel. But perhaps the most profound change is in your self-perception. Because as simple as it sounds, the objects you are surrounded by act as a quiet reflection of what you believe you deserve. If you are in a space filled with broken, incomplete, or meaningless things, your mind accepts this as your standard. But if you surround yourself only with what is whole, what is inspiring, and what reflects the person you are becoming, your mind updates its understanding of what is natural for you. When your inner standard rises, everything else begins to rise with it. This is what could be called environmental harmony. When what you see around you is in accord with what you wish to feel and experience within you. It is a state where every object in your space contributes, in its own quiet way, to the life you are building. The fascinating part is that this change does not remain within your 4 walls. It begins to manifest in how you connect with others, in the opportunities you say yes or no to, and even in how you experience the passage of time. When your environment is in alignment, it becomes a constant, gentle reminder of your own true path and your worth. But here lies the challenge. Many people begin to feel a subtle pull backwards at this point. That old voice that says, "This is good enough. You do not need to keep changing. You have done so much already." If you want this transformation to become your new way of being, you must take the next step. Now we will speak of how to maintain this new harmony in your environment and prevent old energies from flowing back in without your notice. To maintain this new harmony in your environment is not a single act of cleaning, but a continuous practice, much like tending a garden. If you do not visit it with awareness and offer it care, the weeds of unnecessary things, old energies, and mindless habits will grow back before you know it. The first practice is to create regular rituals of review. This is not a massive yearly task, but a few quiet minutes each week to walk through your space with full presence. Ask yourself, item by item, does this still serve its purpose? Does this bring me peace or does it drain me? Does this reflect the life I am living now or a life that has passed? When you train your mind to ask these questions gently and regularly, you cease to accumulate things without intention. The second practice is learning to close cycles quickly. If something breaks, mend it or release it within days, not months. If a project no longer feels true to your path, let go of the materials rather than allowing them to become silent monuments to an unfinished journey. This prevents the unresolved stories we spoke of and keeps your energy flowing toward what is alive for you now. The third key to sustaining this new vibration is to filter what you allow to enter. There is little point in clearing your space only to fill it again with the same kind of energy you just released. Before accepting an item, making a purchase, or even receiving a gift, pause and ask, does this truly add value and harmony to my life? Is it whole and functional? Is it aligned with the person I am choosing to be? If the answer is not a clear and resonant yes, then lovingly do not allow it entry. Another important aspect is to tend to the unseen. Your environment is not just the physical space. It includes your digital devices, your contact lists, your online folders. Apply the same gentle questioning here. Let go of files, photos, and connections that no longer serve your present self. Digital clutter also draws upon our mental and emotional energy. Finally, there is the practice of emotional awareness. Keeping your space in alignment requires you to notice how you feel within it. If you observe a sense of unease, tension, or heaviness in a certain part of your home, pause and be still there. There may be something in that space, an object, a memory, an energy, that is lowering your sense of harmony without your conscious knowledge. When you apply these principles with gentle consistency, your environment becomes a true partner in your growth. Every time you enter your home, you feel it nourishing you, supporting you, quietly reminding you that this is your new standard of peace. Next, we will go even deeper. It is not just about keeping your space clear and aligned. It is about intentionally using it to accelerate your journey and bring your truest goals into being with greater clarity and grace. Using your space with intention to accelerate your growth is not merely about keeping it neat. It is about transforming it into a physical embodiment of your aspirations and the person you are mindfully becoming. It is ensuring that every corner, every object, every detail quietly reflects who you are and where your path is leading. The first step is to anchor your aspirations visually. This means more than just posters with words on the wall. It means surrounding yourself with symbols that hold deep, personal significance for you. It could be a photograph that evokes the feeling of a place your spirit yearns to be, a simple tool that represents your craft or true work, a living plant that symbolizes your own unfolding, or even a piece from your ancestors that reminds you of the strength in your roots. These elements serve as gentle, silent guides, keeping your attention aligned with what you wish to bring into being. The second step is to design zones of specific energy. Your environment has a powerful influence on your state of being, so you can use it to call forth different aspects of yourself. A corner for reading or meditation that is free of screens and distractions. A workspace clear of all but the essential, where your mind knows it is time for focused creation. A small, open area to move your body, reminding you that physical vitality is essential to your journey. When you enter each zone, your mind associates that space with a specific purpose, helping you shift into the desired state of awareness more quickly. Another principle is to align your environment with the way of life you desire, not just the one you have now. If you wish to feel more orderly, create systems of order that are both beautiful and effortless to maintain. If you wish for more creativity, keep materials visible that invite you to experiment and play. If you aspire to greater abundance, introduce details, however small, that communicate a sense of quality and deep care. Your mind responds to the cues from your surroundings. If those cues resonate with your desired future, you will begin to embody that future more naturally. It is also important to release the neutral. Objects that do not inspire you but do not bother you may seem harmless. However, they occupy physical and mental space that could be given to something that genuinely elevates your spirit. If an object does not spark a feeling, a purpose, or a story you wish to keep alive, it may be time to let it go. Every item should have a clear reason for being in your sacred space. And do not forget the power of the senses. Scent, light, temperature, and texture all speak to your inner self. When your space is filled with a pleasant aroma, is well lit, and feels comforting to the touch, your body can more easily enter a state of peace and openness. That state is the fertile ground for any change you wish to cultivate. When you use your environment in this way, it ceases to be a passive container for your life. It becomes a living, supportive ecosystem, a quiet guide encouraging you toward your most authentic self. The most powerful part of this is the harmonious cycle it creates. The more your environment is aligned, the more your actions become aligned. And the more your actions are aligned, the more you will seek to align your environment. When you transform your space and bring it into harmony with the person you wish to be, the changes you experience do not remain within you. They begin to appear in your outer life, in ways that might first seem like happy accidents, but are truly the direct reflection of your new inner state. The first thing that occurs is that you begin to attract different currents. Opportunities, people, projects, and situations that once felt distant begin to flow naturally into your life. This is not baseless magic. It is that by elevating your own standards and acting from a place of clearer identity, you become more discerning about what you welcome and what you allow to pass by. That clarity acts as a filter for your reality. The second change is a deepening of your relationships. When your personal space is no longer carrying the weight of past pains or draining energy, you cultivate a healthier inner world. From that place, you connect with others with greater respect, self-worth, and emotional peace. You become more open to those who uplift you and less available for the dynamics you once tolerated. It is not uncommon for new friends, partners, or collaborators to appear who mirror your own elevated state. You will also notice a shift in your capacity for focus. With an environment free from distractions and filled with reminders of your path, each hour of work becomes more potent. You complete journeys that had previously remained unfinished. You meet your commitments with less inner resistance. And most importantly, you no longer feel you are constantly struggling against the current because your energy now flows without as many hidden obstacles. Another profound effect is the strengthening of your self-esteem. Every time you enter your home and see that all is in harmony, with nothing to remind you of broken promises or difficult connections, you reinforce the belief that you are worthy of living with peace and beauty. This is reflected in how you carry yourself in the world, in your posture, in the tone of your voice, and in the choices you make. Even your physical and emotional well-being are nourished. Less visual stress and fewer objects carrying difficult energy reduce the chronic tension on your system. You rest more deeply, you breathe more fully, and you feel lighter in your own body. As a result, you have more vitality to care for yourself, to move, to eat well, and to simply find joy in your day. Many people describe this shift as stepping into a new life without changing their address. The location remains the same, but the experience is entirely different. It is as if you have reshaped not just your home, but your very relationship with the world outside of it. Integrating this transformation and making it your new foundation is not about temporary acts of will. It is about identity, because once something becomes a part of who you are, It no longer requires effort to sustain. It becomes your natural state. Up to this point, we have learned to identify and release the 5 elements that can diminish our energy: broken things, relics of a past self, invitations to automatic consumption, symbols of unkept promises, and ties to draining connections. We have felt what happens when that weight is lifted: mental clarity, renewed vitality, sharper focus, healthier relationships, and unexpected opportunities. We have begun to shape our space into an active ally on our journey. The next step is to make this way of living permanent, so it is not a passing season of inspiration, but your natural way of being in the world. The first principle is to live with daily mindfulness. Do not wait for clutter or old energies to accumulate before you act. Ask yourself each day if you need to: is what I am allowing into my home and my life in harmony with who I am now? If the answer is no, stop it with gentle firmness before it takes root. The second principle is to keep your space as a reflection of your own evolution. You are not a still pond, you are a flowing river. Your environment should reflect that. Each time your path, interests, or vision shifts, check that what surrounds you mirrors this new stage. Let go of what no longer belongs, even if you acquired it recently. This ensures your home continues to pull you forward, not hold you in a version of yourself that has already passed. The third principle is to use your space as an active guide. Place symbols, tools, or images where you will see them, things that inspire you and keep you connected to your vision. Design your spaces for rest, for work, and for creation, so they gently call forth the state of being you need in each part of your life. The fourth and final principle is to fully own the power you have over your own reality. For you now know that every object, every corner, and every detail in your home is a piece of the story of your life. What you choose to keep or to release is not just a matter of decoration. It is a declaration of who you are and of what you believe you deserve. This is not merely about a clean home, it is a promise to yourself. To honor that commitment to your own growth, subscribe and continue this practice with us. Share this message with those you feel may need to hear it. When you live from this place, you do not go backwards, because the discord of a cluttered, broken, or misaligned space becomes too loud to ignore. Your standard has risen. What began as clearing your physical space concludes as a deep shift in your very being. That is the true gift, not just an orderly home, but a life in harmony with your deepest self. Now, the space you inhabit no longer just holds your possessions. It holds your energy, your vision, and your commitment to the person you are becoming. And every time you walk through your own door, you feel a quiet knowing, this is my new beginning.